And Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi has arrived in India, marking the first official ministerial visit from Kabul to New Delhi.
What is making Pakistan alarmed with Taliban and India's closeness? Why India is changing its stance about Taliban in Afghanistan? What India sets to gain from this equation and what Pakistan is worried to lose. Afghanistan's Taliban foreign minister visiting India isn't just a symbolic foreign trip. Rather, it is the moment which will reshape South Asia's foreign policies and also the political landscape. And this has Pakistan panicking, and New Delhi here is pragmatically choosing to engage only on selective terms. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and today we are going to understand that why this particular visit by Taliban foreign minister in our country is going to put up a strategic dilemma for Pakistan as well as their army. But here are certain things that India as well as Afghanistan are set to gain, which will not only help reshaping the policies in South Asia but the bilateral ties as well. So let us begin with understanding that what is on the agenda here. So when we are talking about Afghanistan's Taliban foreign minister, that is Amir Khan Muttaqi, who has visited just after the Moscow format meeting that has taken place, and this is important and significant because this is the first direct meeting that is taking place between India and Taliban regime since 2021, since the takeover has happened. As of now also, India did not recognize the Taliban regime back in 2021. Now also India has not officially recognized, but India has decided to pragmatically go towards selective engagement, and this clearly signals the pragmatic diplomacy that India is practicing. It holds out better significance in the context of also that there will be a policy shift that is being seen towards selective engagement. Because before this, India was focusing only on isolation. They did not recognize the Taliban regime. They were not participating, and there were no direct bilateral ties. But here in this situation, this meeting is showcasing the fact that India is ready for selective engagement, and this clearly shows that India has a fair understanding that what is important for protecting its security as well as economic interests when we are talking about Afghanistan. And relevant with this is how it is going to protect India's positioning, especially in South Asia. Now, when we are talking about this particular meeting, let us move and understand that what are the key agendas and what are the things that are on the table which will be discussed. The first point of discussion is going to be the humanitarian aid that India provides. That means continued provision of not just food but medicine as well as vaccine that goes in form of aid to Afghanistan. That should be continued, and that is very much requisite. Second is important in terms of trade and connectivity. Here we get to understand that Chahbar port, which is an important link for exports that go from India to Afghanistan, that is going to be vital, and that is going to continue and also mark the fact that India is not dependent on third parties to enable their exports in this situation, specifically Pakistan. Can you tell me in the comment section where is Chahbar port located and via which country our exports will go to Afghanistan if we are going to use Chahbar port? Third is most important factor when we are talking about discussion, especially from the side of India, that is security cooperation, where India would want that Afghan soil is not used for anti-India terror groups, anti-India groups such as especially Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed, so that India has the security cooperation coming from Taliban regime which is present in Afghanistan as well. Another major focus is going to be on people to people ties, where we are taking in consideration student visas, medical visas, and also restoration of cultural project, cultural integration that was taking in prior to the Taliban regime setting in 2021. And the next point would be most important, especially for Taliban's end, that is political legitimacy. India has not officially recognized, but here Taliban regime will be seeking an indirect support, especially at the global level from India, for recognition as a legitimate regime present in Afghanistan. So from all the discussion, we'll clearly get to see that whatever lies in front of us is basically exercising practical benefits that can be brought from one end to another. But here the focus is not at all on formal recognition, but selective yet steady engagement between the both countries. Now this engagement is definitely an upgrade from the isolation situation, but at the same time, this engagement is panicking Pakistan. Now let us understand that what lies in front of Pakistan and what are the key challenges that are emerging from this particular engagement, not just for Pakistan but for India also. Let us understand all this in detail. So starting with Pakistan's strategic dilemma that lies in front. So Pakistan has always used Afghanistan, the first one being the loss of influence or control that Pakistan has on Afghanistan. So if we talk about Pakistan army, which pretty much controls the whole nation there, has always seen Afghanistan as a strategic backyard. Now if India and Taliban, their engagement is directly the influence that Pakistan has had, especially on Afghan affairs, and the independent influence, rightly said, that would be affected, that monopoly would be broken, and this is where Pakistan influence would dial down. Apart from that, we also get to see two main core fears which are coming from Pakistan. First, there will be a direct exposure of the covert links that have existed, because there has been a historic support from Pakistan to the militant and insurgent networks which have existed in Afghanistan. That region has been used as a background. So that will be exposed, and this is where India will gain a diplomatic space as well and gain evidence against Pakistan in the narrative that has been going on. Furthermore, Afghanistan has always been used as a buffer zone for Pakistan. So if Afghanistan switches towards India and there is a tilt towards India, we will see that Pakistan's strategic depth, especially with reference to Afghanistan, will gradually erode, and the buffer zone that Pakistan had and it has always relied upon will be taken away. So we get to see loss of influence. Second, we get to see loss of security, and this will automatically lead to building up of autonomy for the Taliban regime. They will get independence from Pakistan's influence if this engagement gradually heightens. Another concern that Pakistan might have will be regarding to the border itself, that is the Durand line that we see. Now, if we talk about the Durand line, Taliban refuses to accept it as the official boundary, and there have been frequent skirmishes that have taken place between Pakistan's army and Taliban as well. So this issue will also be in the favor of Afghanistan if they have an indirect support from India for this very border dispute. Another issue at the end of Pakistan is the terror group which gets facilitating from Afghan soil, especially when we are talking about TTP, that is Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. It continues to launch attack inside Pakistan as per the need of the army and the directions based on Afghanistan soil. So it is being done from Afghan soil, and if India's engagement increases, as we have already discussed, the key agenda is security cooperation. This is also going to erode Islamabad's leverage. Pakistan is going to suffer here. And as a combination of this, where there is loss of control, where there is heightened security cooperation between India and Afghanistan, loss of security, and the nexus being broken, there will be strategic isolation that we are seeing for Pakistan's army, and Pakistan where India, Iran and Russia, they are directly engaging with Kabul, they are directly engaging with Taliban regime, and Pakistan's influence, especially in this context, gradually decreases. That means it is being sidelined, and to an extent we can easily label it as diplomatic isolation as well. But this engagement is not going to be only challenging and worrisome for Pakistan. There are certain challenges that India also needs to understand. For example, the first thing that we will see, India would be walking a very tight diplomatic rope. Why we are saying this? Because at no point India would want to officially recognize Taliban regime, but it would want full cooperation when we are talking about strategic engagement here. So in this scenario, it would be very difficult to take the benefits when you are allowing limited legitimacy from your end. Second concern is coming from the fact that Afghanistan for very long has been used as a backyard. It still remains as a backyard, and there are terror groups, terror outfits which use that land. Now, it doesn't mean that India and Afghanistan are having bilateral engagement that will directly lead to elimination of these terror groups. For example, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, all these might go ahead and still find grounds in this particular region, and that will definitely affect India. So, India needs to navigate that as well. Apart from that, when we are talking about providing humanitarian aid to Afghanistan, we cannot let go of the fact that multiple human right violations, and especially when we are talking about curbing of women rights and their violation is taking place. So that will also draw a lot of criticism for India. That also needs to be balanced in the long term. Then comes the game of power. In this situation, India has to understand, because they are selectively engaging, they also might not be the number one priority for the Taliban regime. In this situation, India needs to focus on US, Iran, Russia in terms of foreign policy as compared to Afghan policy. Apart from that, the main risk that remains from India is the investment risk. The investment that India has made in Afghanistan. Can you name two important infrastructure projects that India has invested in Afghanistan? Now, in this situation, that investment will go down the drain if it is not protected. So, India has to engage them, but at the same time remain at a certain boundary to make sure that the investments are there and they fulfill their own purposes. So that risk also has to be managed, which is going to be a hefty challenge in itself. Now let us move ahead. Now that we have understood the challenges for both India and Pakistan, now let us, what are the implications that we are looking at, especially for India. India will get a foothold in Afghanistan after US has taken exit, and in this context, as I said, Chabar port is going to play an important role. India will be able to protect its investments such as Salma Dam as well as their parliament building, and the most important part, that India gets to counter the Pakistan's reach, especially that we are talking about in Afghanistan. Apart from that, when we are talking about for Afghanistan, the implications look better for them, because in this scenario, they will expand their foreign ties, they will have multiple options in terms of trade, they will get access to better humanitarian as well as development aid, and also it will help to improve their global legitimacy, with India being in their corner because of the position that India at present holds in the global order. Apart from that, this will be a direct game changer for the South Asian region itself, because it will help in ensuring a new diplomatic balance, a new diplomatic order, where Pakistan has a diminishing role and Afghanistan in itself will be engaging with multiple countries, for example India, then we have Russia, and Moscow agreement in itself is showing that how there are global players who want to put a hand in stabilizing especially Afghanistan. Furthermore, if we are talking about the regional impact, one thing we have to keep in mind, as much as we are aiming for stability, there are possibility of instability if at all the terror groups or terror issues take the upper hand. Other than that, This directly opens a path for regional connectivity, especially via Iran, giving India a better option in terms of trade, security, as well as connectivity. Now, I'll leave you with a practice question here. You can put down your answers in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.